Howdy, folks. Welcome to Hookwork. This is episode 14. And, oh, buddy, you know the deal. Our goal here is simple. We want to help you catch more and bigger fish through proper hook selection. No smoke machines, no AI, no nothing. Just anglers talking to anglers. And we're going to continue the series with bringing in high-level pros to share the juice, again, to help you catch more and bigger fish. And this week, for the second week in a row, we're going to be talking with MLF Pro Kyle Cortiana. If you live under a rock, maybe you don't know the tear that Kyle's been on for a while now. I'm sure it's going to continue. You're a fishy dude. Kyle, you travel all over the country. You know, in the beginning of the season, you're down south in Florida. Then you transition up to the north, and it almost seems like as an industry, we talk about down south, and then we jump up north, and we kind of miss the whole middle of the country a little bit sometimes. And that's all I want on this episode. For the folks in the middle of the country that are fishing in summertime, juice them up.
Yeah, your lowland reservoirs. You know, growing up in Oklahoma, fished a lot of those lowland reservoirs. Your Lake Fort Gibson's, your Lake Eufaula, Oklahoma. You're right. In the summer months, the fish have a unique tendency to them, and it's a pattern all to its own. And it's not like the north, it ain't like the south. And but I don't get to do that enough hardly anymore. The way the schedules work out, and I miss it a lot. But right now, I'm kind of in the middle part of the state. I'm getting to do a little bit of it now here on Lake Gunnersville. It's a TBA fishery. There's some currents, a little different than a lowland reservoir, but some of the rules still apply. When it gets really hot, you're talking about water temperatures between over 75. You get above 80, even better. You're talking about true summertime patterns. The fish get out, and often they're holding to big brush piles. I mean, that's often the deal. And so if I'm going to go find fish in big brush piles out in the middle of the summer, in the middle part of the United States, there's really two of my favorite things to throw are a big old ribbon tail worm or a big old like finesse worm, like a magnum finesse worm. And I'm going to pair it with a big 5/0 Pro V bin. This is the TK 105 5/0. That is going to be the hook I'm going to throw both that big worm on, both of those big worms on. I'll probably put on a 3/8 ounce to a 1/2 ounce weight. I may peg it, I may not, just depending on what the fish are telling me. But that's what I'm going to throw those big worms on. And if I was going to give you a secret, is this worm actually, I didn't even know I was going to do this. I grabbed one out of my box, but I don't know if you can hear this. I don't know where my speaker is.
Yeah.
Can you hear that? So I bury a rattle in that big bulbous tail on the end of a finesse worm. There, can you see it?
Yeah.
I bury a rattle in it. And so that it's just something really subtle that I do. It gives me a little bit more confidence that I'm separating myself apart from the next guy. And we do the rigging here.
I mean, and at the end of the day, that confidence piece that you're talking about is so crucial for anybody. I mean, I could argue that it's the most important thing in your tackle box is a little bit of confidence.
I agree, 100%. Now this Pro V bin, again, you guys just came out with this not too long ago, and a lot of these hooks, and I'm just so in love with it. It goes all the way back to crappie fishing, but you can already see how that worm's going to sit right in that. Now I'm going to hide that hook, but it's still going to like cuddle that worm like a baby when it needs to. And that's it right there. That's the juice. You can do the same thing with a big ribbon tail worm. And when you set the hook on that fish, I've just got the point sticking out. Usually these bigger hooks are a lot better about freeing up the worm and exposing itself. Yeah. You get a real small finesse hook like TK 180, like a drop shot, which is the other thing I would implement. The old pink worm. Everybody throws the pink worm in the summer. Really awesome when those fish are like really finicky. That hook right there, it really is tacky, and it's really small, low diameter. It will like hang on the smallest little twig in a brush pile. So I'll poke it through the worm, and then I bring it back down and hide it. But on the big worm, I'm okay with sticking it out. It seems like that bigger gauge 5/0 hook. Yeah. It's a little more forgiving in those brush piles, and you got heavier line. You can kind of get through them a little bit. So I'll expose that hook a little bit more than I will say this really small diameter hook that easily pokes through those worms and gets those fish. Yeah.
So I got a couple questions. First things first. You said sometimes you peg, sometimes you don't peg, depending on what the fish are doing. Is so much of what we do as anglers is feel. Is that a feel thing for you, or is there a clue that you get that you go, okay, this is when I need to peg, or this is when I need to not peg?
Used to be a feel thing. Now it's a visually see it thing with your forward-facing technology. But if I had to umbrella it, I would say if the fish are suspended higher up in the tree or in the brush piles that you're fishing, I like the no peg option.
Okay.
If I got to make sure that worm's getting all the way down to the bottom, those fish are buried in that tree, then I peg it. I want to make sure that weight pulls the bait down through. But if those fish are kind of high up, I'm cool with my weight kind of tick, 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 and kind of losing track of the worm, and the worm stays up here and starts to almost act like a Carolina rig coming through the tree.
Yeah.
It creates some really cool action in the bait as you're pulling that weight's down here. You know, you're pulling that bait up and over, and it's kind of trying to get back to the worm, and then it falls over a limb, and the worm kind of like goes up and follows it. It creates a whole new presentation to those fish. So when they're higher up in the tree, I will try to keep it unpegged.
That's money. And for folks that don't have forward-facing sonar, which, you know, I don't want to say most of us do, many of us do, the juice is still there. If you're fishing a brush pile, you know that there's a ton of fish, and it's pegged. You know, you work all your different angles and stuff like that. You're not getting bit. Take Kyle's advice, unpeg it, and then you're going to see if that's what the situation is. They're higher up in the brush piles. That's absolute money. The second part, when you're talking about drop shot or bubba shot, and however you want to word it, the pink worm, the TK 180, it has to be the most underrated hook in fishing history, in my opinion. The TK 180s, it's just a dagger. Matt's over here. We have the privilege of seeing what all the pros order, and you guys are always ordering the TK 180. You talked about how it's sticky sharp. What do you think of the keeper on the TK 180?
Oh, dude. I mean, it's it's just fantastic. If I pull this worm off, it's so subtle. It's a small, super pointed, tacky, and it flares out. And again, for these smaller worms, you're not going to put a giant worm on this hook. It doesn't have the gap for it. But as far as it keeping your bait up there, that worm rips way before it's sliding up and down that hook. And that's what you want. That's what you want out of a bait keeper. You want the bait to be kept until it rips and it's ruined. It's just phenomenal. It's such a small diameter. It just does very little damage to the worm, but it just wreaks havoc on the bass's mouth when you set the hook. It's so tacky. It sticks so good. It's so reliable. It doesn't flex out and not come back very often. It's just such a reliable hook. That's the reason why it's ordered by all of us so much.
So with the TK 105, with the worms, I mean, you're cracking them. I'm assuming you're reeling down and you're popping them. Now with the 180, is it more of a subtle hook set, or are you cracking them just the same?
No, I mean, sometimes I overcrack them. Sometimes I get excited. I'm not going to act like I don't. I will break my line sometimes because I rear back and give it the 1-2. I'm guilty of that. But if you have a really light action rod, like I'm guilty of pairing my drop shots on several different action rods sometimes, because one time I had a little bit bigger hook, bigger weight, whatever, I don't know. Yeah. But if you have a really light action rod, you can get away with a heck of a hook set.
Yeah.
You really can. But if you start leaning towards like a medium or a medium heavy and you start cracking the whip on an 8-pound, 10-pound leader, you're going to have some accidents. And the hook is so forgiving, you can do either one and you're still going to catch the fish. You just got to make sure to be mindful of your rod and line combo. Yes, generally, if you're doing it right, you're reeling really hard and just kind of lifting into them. Yeah. It's kind of yeah.
Awesome. So again, the second week in a row that Kyle's given us juice on the big worms, on the ribbon tail, and on the Magnum finesse worm. My other question would be colors. So if we're talking dirty water, what's a go-to color? If we're talking a little bit cleaner water, what's a go-to color?
Yeah, I mean it's everybody. The green pumpkin, the watermelon reds, for me are always the clear watercolors. The sleepers for me that I'll throw it in any watercolor is like a red bug color. like the old it's kind of a deep red with some green and black fleck in it. And then obviously like your plum apple.
Yeah.
Your plum apple color in the summer. You really can't beat those. If you've got some really, really dark stained water, you can go to your black. They've got some black worms with blue flecks and stuff in it. And those work really well, like in really stained water, offshore stuff. But you can't go wrong with the watermelon red, green pumpkin, then have you some form of the red bug or the plum apple. And I feel like you've got it.
So, folks at home, again, Kyle's giving you some juice. Make sure you get some rattles to put in the tail of those Magnum finesse worms. The TK105s, if you're not using them yet, I implore you to buy one pack. Buy one pack and add them to your arsenal. Anytime you're using Slender Soft Plastics, you will be amazed. Kyle, your entire livelihood rests on the shoulders of your hook set, and that's the hook you go to.
Yeah. Oh, I took a picture today of one that I had pegged, and I meant to text it to you.
Sweet, we'll put it in.
To you later.
Yeah, we'll put it in.
Right
we'll
through
we'll have Stefan do the thing.
Let's see here.
We're going to be able to see it at the same time. Me and the audience are going to see this picture at the same time.
How do I do it? What do I do? Just text it. Can I text it to you?
You know what? Text it to us. Yeah, hold it up to the camera. Maybe we'll be able to see it.
Let's just do that. So pegged right through the nostril. Well, it's a different. It's the Pro V. It's the other Pro V bin hook that we're not talking about.
Oh, the 133.
It's the TK 133.
Yeah, but again, the power of Pro V.
It's the Pro V.
When Z said it, when you hook them, yeah, that's perfect. When you hook them, you own them. Kyle, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us and offering folks, some juice that's going to help them catch more and bigger fish. I haven't done this yet. We've done 2 episodes now. Is there anything else you want to leave folks with before we call this one? We close the book on it.
If we're talking summertime fishing in the Midwest, you might consider dragging. It used to be the biffle bug, but now it is the Yum Scutter bug. So Gene LaRue got purchased by the Pradco lineup, so now it's a Yum. So the old biffle bug, if you're wondering where it's at and where it went, it's now called the Scutter bug. It's the 4-inch Scutter bug, and in the summer months, there's shad spawns going on. And if there's a shad spawn going on, trust me, this thread fin shad colored Scutter bug used to be the biffle bug. This color right here, flipping the bank, you're talking about they're spawning on water willow most often, sometimes cypress trees, willow trees. But this color right here, Tommy Biffle is a good buddy of mine. And this color right here, redfin shad, is a shad spawn flipping critter. So in the summer months, when there's still a shad spawn in the morning, go flip that. Trust me.
This is one of the things with hookwork that each one of these episodes cost me money, and that last bit right there is costing me money because I have to add it to my arsenal. It's something I'm going to use in tournaments out here. Kyle, thank you so much. Keep living the dream. Hope you and your dad have a great time fishing the rest of the afternoon. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, Eric. It's been a blast. Thanks for having me.